Clivia miniata, often called the bush lily, is one of my favorite houseplants for its bold, strappy leaves and brilliant clusters of orange or yellow trumpet-shaped flowers. Unlike many flowering houseplants, Clivia thrives on a little neglect, making it perfect for anyone who wants a stunning indoor plant without constant fuss. If you've been searching for a plant that brings vibrant blooms indoors while remaining tough and resilient, Clivia is the answer. In this guide, I'll walk you through how to grow, encourage flowering, and root prune Clivia successfully. And don't forget to subscribe to Hydrohaven and share this guide with fellow plant lovers. There's something special about a plant that can thrive with minimal care, yet produce such spectacular blooms. Clivia miniata is just that plant. It's a true survivor, handling low light, irregular watering, and even neglect better than most houseplants. This makes it perfect for busy plant lovers who still want a touch of nature in their home. Clivia doesn't just provide beautiful flowers. Its dark green, strap-like leaves create an architectural statement even when the plant isn't in bloom. Another reason I love growing Clivia is its longevity. These plants can live for decades, often passed down through generations. With the right care, they'll reward you with yearly blooms and continued growth. And if you're patient, they'll even produce offsets allowing you to grow new plants from the original. Clivia is surprisingly adaptable but thrives when given the right conditions. Light is a major factor in its growth and flowering cycle. While it can tolerate low light, Clivia does best in bright, indirect light. Too much direct sunlight can scorch its leaves, so I always place mine near a north or east-facing window where it gets plenty of diffused light without the harsh afternoon sun. Temperature is another key element. Clivia prefers moderate temperatures, between 60 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit, during its active growing season. However, to encourage flowering, a cooler rest period is essential. I move my plant to a cooler area, around 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, for 6 to 8 weeks in fall or early winter, reducing watering to help stimulate the blooming cycle. Without this rest period, Clivia may grow well, but struggle to flower. When it comes to soil, Clivia prefers a loose, well-draining mix. I use a combination of potting soil, perlite, and bark to mimic its natural habitat, ensuring the roots have enough aeration while retaining some moisture. This helps prevent rot, a common issue when Clivia is overwatered. One of the biggest mistakes people make with Clivia is overwatering. This plant has thick, fleshy roots that store water, meaning it can tolerate dry spells much better than constantly wet soil. I let the top inch of soil dry out before watering, making sure any excess water drains away. During the growing season, spring and summer, I water thoroughly but less frequently. In fall and winter, especially during its dormancy period, I cut back on watering to encourage flowers. Fertilizing Clivia is also key to getting those spectacular blooms. I use a balanced, liquid fertilizer every 2 to 4 weeks during the active growing months. As the plant enters dormancy, I stop fertilizing entirely. Once new growth appears in late winter or early spring, I resume feeding to support flower development and foliage growth. Clivia flowers best when it experiences a period of dormancy. This means reducing watering, stopping fertilization, and providing a cool rest period in fall and early winter. If a Clivia isn't blooming, chances are it's either getting too much water, too much warmth, or too much nitrogen from fertilizer. I've had great success by moving my plant to a cooler room and withholding water for a few weeks. Once I start watering again and bring it back to a warmer environment, flower stalks soon appear. Another trick is keeping Clivia slightly root-bound. These plants don't like being disturbed too often, and being slightly snug in their pot can actually encourage blooming. If your Clivia is in a pot that's too big, it may focus on root growth rather than flowering. Clivia has thick, fleshy roots that don't need frequent repotting. In fact, these plants prefer being a little pot-bound. I typically repot Clivia only every 3 to 5 years, or when the roots start pushing out of the container. When I do repot, I take the opportunity to root prune, which helps keep the plant healthy and manageable. To root prune Clivia, I carefully remove it from its pot and gently shake off excess soil. Using a clean, sharp knife or scissors, I trim away any dead or rotting roots and cut back some of the larger roots if they're overly crowded. This helps rejuvenate the plant without causing stress. After root pruning, I place it back into a slightly larger or the same sized pot with fresh soil and water lightly to help it settle. One of the most rewarding parts of growing Clivia is propagating it. The easiest way to propagate is by dividing offsets, also known as pups. Over time, mature Clivia plants will produce baby plants around their base. Once these offsets have a few strong roots of their own, I carefully separate them from the mother plant and pot them up in their own containers. It may take a couple of years for these young plants to flower, but with patience, they'll eventually bloom just like the parent plant. Clivia can also be grown from seed, though this method takes much longer. After flowering, Clivia produces berries that contain seeds. If I want to experiment, I remove the seeds once they turn soft and mature, then plant them in a light, well-draining mix. Germination can take several months, and seedlings require years to reach blooming size, so I usually stick to offset division for quicker results. Clivia is generally a hardy plant, but a few common issues can arise. Yellowing leaves usually indicate overwatering, while brown tips may mean underwatering or too much direct sun. If my Clivia's leaves look pale, I check its light levels. Too much shade can cause weak growth. Pests like mealybugs and scale insects sometimes appear, but they're easy to control. I wipe leaves down with a damp cloth or use an insecticidal soap to keep them at bay. Few houseplants combine toughness, beauty, and longevity quite like Clivia. With its bold green foliage and stunning flowers, it's an eye-catching addition to any home. Best of all, it's low maintenance and can thrive for decades with the right care. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced plant grower, Clivia is a fantastic choice. Give it the right conditions, a bit of patience, and the occasional root prune, and it will reward you with years of vibrant blooms. If you enjoyed this guide, don't forget to subscribe to and share it with your fellow plant lovers. Happy growing!